The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoke and gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight I want to take you kind of behind the scenes of an investigation that we just finished in California. It is the latest episode of Tales from the Abyss that we put on the channel, and it was a pretty interesting, to say the least, investigation. And I, for one, got a little heated about it, be honest with you, because here we had a case of a lovely, lovely old lady. She's a very, very nice lady. And she was being attacked by multiple spirits. And I'll let old boy kind of give all the background of it here in a minute. But I hate when malevolent or evil entities attack children or old women and stuff like that. It really kind of pisses me off. And this was a pretty bad attack. I mean, the woman is now wheelchair bound. She was talking in an interview about how this thing had physically assaulted her and knocked her down and stuff. And it just kind of got me all up in my feels. You know what I mean? I was kind of pissed off and kind of wishing that I was over there in California, because I wanted to get a piece of this thing myself, you know. But old boy and the crew there in California really kicked some ass on this one. And the video is the latest episode of Tales from the Abyss. It's on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. So if you have not seen it yet, I definitely say after you listen to this show, you should set aside some time to go check it out. It's about 45 minutes, 48 minutes long, something like that. But it is absolutely action-packed and a really, really good episode. And you get to see an actual investigation taking place. This isn't like a research thing where we're just trying to get a response. This was an active case where somebody was in danger and being attacked, and we went in and dealt with it and got rid of the stuff. And you'll get to actually see that kind of play out on screen and be able to watch in real time as it happened. And it was pretty damn spectacular. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw over to old boy, and I want him to kind of start off with the history of what was happening and what these entities had done to this woman, and kind of run us through the investigation, run us through what took place, what they did, and kind of a update on what's going on now. So old boy, if you want to, brother, you can go ahead and let us know everything.
Thank you, brother. So about three and a half weeks ago, I got this message by somebody in the Tells Shadows Pit group. I just took over Shadows Pit a year and a half ago, but COVID and everything, we finally built up the page and got it going. You guys can check it out, Shadows Pit, Tells the Abyss. And you guys ever need us on either Vapor or Tells the Abyss Shadows Pit, write us on there and tell us your problems. And if we live around you, we'll come help you. Unless it's something serious, then we'll try to help you there too. But they had hit me up. Come to find out, this guy named Keith, and he gave me permission to use his name. They live a couple miles down from me in Apple Valley, California, where I live in Apple Valley in the high desert. He told me that he's been friends with this elderly lady who lives on her own, and him and his mom have been friends with her for years, and he's helped her out with rides and stuff like that. She told him this story a couple days before this about how these entities and this this thing was supposed to be a young man, and his mother were attacking her all the time and saying bad things and wanted her to kill herself and all this stuff. And he told me as soon as he found out and started trying to help her, that the thing started attacking him. He started having problems with his hand. He had to go to the hospital. Had to do all this stuff. He started saging stuff. So I told him what to get, certain things to sage the house. It got worse. We first went over there a couple weeks ago, did a walkthrough, found out there was stuff there, took pictures, and it's on, James put the new episode up there about it too. You guys can check it out on the YouTube page or on Facebook, wherever you're at. But we took pictures and we knew something was there. So we saged the house, told him to use a lot of salt with sage and tobacco. It's a little blend you can use, guys, to help yourself feed off evil. And it cleanses you. But we also use sage and sage the house. The week later, we went back and it was getting a little worse. She was staying at his house because the thing was attacking her. He sent me videos of it because he set up video cameras around the house. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I went there, checked it out, did a lot of investigation there, had them go out in the garage, and apparently there's 3 or 4 different demons or dark entities or shadows people, I don't know. One was the lady who had died there. That's the other thing I forgot to say, guys. There was a lady who had died in that apartment that she lived in beforehand. We don't know if they did it. These things have been following her for a couple years. So she told me that they've been attacking her, physically attacking her at this place. So I went to one room. It was where a lot of activities at. We've seen pictures of something in the closet, something out in the window. She says outside is always looking at her. And we got a lot of activity that wanted to argue with us a lot. It told us who it was in that room. And she has a 2-bedroom, and it was like a little painting room where she does her hobbies there. She for 78 years old, she was in a wheelchair. She could still walk around a little bit, but she uses the wheelchair because, 78. But for 78 years old, she was there. It wasn't like, oh, she's losing her mind. She's got dementia. She wasn't. She knew what was going on. We talked to her, everything. And she was even a painter. She showed me all that stuff, and she had a little room. There's a lot of activity in there. And there was a lot of antique stuff, so I think maybe something came from that. So we went in her room where we had the first problem the first time we went there is we were using the temperature gauge, and it went up to 566 degrees. But it wasn't hot at all. There was just something there. And again, I don't know if the lady might have passed away there. There was just a lot of activity. And they like to hide in the mirrors. So we made them take her mirrors off, except the bathroom can't do nothing about that. But there was like this little lamb, and it kept moving. And it was really creepy. I don't know. There was something about it because every time I took a picture, I seen like something there above it in the air. So I don't know if there's something with that lamb, this doll stuffed animal. It was like this little lamb chopped thing. But it was just ugly looking, and it just looked weird. It liked to move a lot, It was just a weird looking doll. But every time we would take a picture, it would move or it had something over it. So we did our investigation in that room, had some activity in there. A couple of them left by then, but everything that we found out what it was, there was something there controlling this whole situation. And it didn't like us. It didn't like my wife. It said a lot of nasty things to her because my wife is a pagan witch. And it called her that, and called her other things I don't want to repeat because we're on a PG show. It doesn't like women because it attacks her, and it attacks, and supposedly, I guess before we got there, we didn't know this the first night. His mother had started trying to cast it out, and it didn't work, and it attacked her, and she got very sick for 3 days. Was throwing up, going to the bathroom constantly for 3 or 4 days the day after all this happened. And it attacks the lady. It attacked Keith because Keith was getting involved in it. So it attacked 3 women. So my personal opinion, it didn't like women. It kind of said that to us. It said my name. It said stuff to me and my other paranormal investigator who's a pastor. Because my cameraman ended up having his tooth pulled, and he had to go up to Reno. He went with us the first night, but we didn't do too much video recording that night. Just We just went in there for the walk around to see what was going on and observe the situation. So the second night time we went there was the actual get the thing out. I don't know if I have to go back. I haven't really heard nothing. The only thing with Keith now is he said something might have followed him beforehand. So if he keeps having problems and he doesn't, I haven't heard from him from a couple days. So when it does, if he has any more problems and he calls me, I'll go over his house and sage his house. But he's already saged his house and stuff, and I haven't heard from him in a couple days. So I'm pretty much thinking everything's good. If it's not, I'll go to his house and get the thing out of there. Whatever this entity was, it didn't like women. It pretended to be a 20-year-old man, but it showed its true colors. Just like this thing, it said it was his mother, and it showed its true colors. But the one entity was trying to protect her out of the other four. The other two were just drag-alongs, I think, to the main one. They always do that. They always have two or three, and then the main, whatever it is. I don't like to say demons because we don't know if it was an entity or a vengeful spirit or a shadow person, but whatever it wasn't good. Because when I went in the house, I could feel something was watching me the whole time and wanting to mess with us, and it doesn't do anything. Trust me, I've dealt with stuff at Penhurst. And people, well, how were you in Penhurst? Never, because I've already dealt with it. I had my camera guy there, and I was fighting with one of the fallen ones. We'll just put it that way, Bevel. And I got rid of him after 10 minutes of arguing. I've fought with Belizabub. I've fought with the Wraith at Victorville Cemetery in Barstow. We had the Wraith out there. I've battled things that people are going to say you're crazy. Well, whatever you want to think, that's fine because you're wrong. But everybody's open to their opinions. They can believe whatever they want. But I do deal with stuff that most people won't do. And this stuff doesn't really bother me. And just so you guys do know, there's stuff in the works we're working on to do the most extreme stuff you can ever think of. No one wants to do. Most people try it and it doesn't work or they can't handle it. That's what we're trying to pitch right now. And I can't talk other than that. I can't go in too much detail, but that's coming in the future. We do deal with bad things. We're willing to do it. I don't care. James is going to go. He's gone to a couple of these places up there. And he's talking. There's another one where he might be going now with a documentary. It's really bad there. St. Albans is really bad. They've been there and they just did a charity there last week. James just talked there. He was the main speaker there. That's the stuff we do. This one wasn't too bad. It just pissed me off because it was messing with a elderly woman that can't defend herself. So I took it personal myself and I dealt with it. This thing didn't call Hershey out. I didn't even get Hershey involved because it wasn't that big of a deal. It was minor. I had to deal with it. I did. And we have the footage now. You guys can check it out. The newest episode is now here. You'll see sometimes in Virginia or West Virginia or Pennsylvania where they go. You'll see here in Southern California or Vegas because that's our area. That's what you'll see. Because I was just in Vegas in December. Remember I told you guys. So that's our area, Southern Cal to Vegas. You'll see some videos from there and maybe Arizona, but I'm thinking about going out there. But majority of it's California. James is pretty much West Virginia and Virginia. Sometimes Pennsylvania because they're at Gettysburg a lot in Penhurst. So they have that whole area right there. And it's all close by each other. So that's why I took it personally, guys, because it was an elderly lady who just was very scared out of her wits. And I know she's a lonely person because she doesn't have a lot of family. Her family lives in other states. So she's alone. And it's sad to see something, can't enjoy the rest of her time having something mess with her. And it really irritated me. And it irritated me to the point why we do most everything free. We're not looking for money. That's one thing people need to realize. We don't do this for money. If you're in for this for money, then you know what? My personal opinion, you're doing it wrong. And that's the problem. And that's what's become a big problem altogether in the paranormal universe is what we call it, or field. and a lot of backstabbing happens because of this. And I'm not looking to become rich. If it came through or it happens, it happens, but I could care less. And some people are, oh yeah, right, you're just saying that. I don't care, trust me. I have a decent life. I live a decent life. I'm not broke. I'm from any sense. Neither is James. We live a decent life. It is what it is. I like to help people. I've always liked the paranormal. I've always liked UFOs. I like crypto. I like history. This has always been something I've been involved in. But I do like to help people. And James likes to help people. He just does it a different way. He does it with he believes in a different way than I do. But in the same thing, we're all trying to help people. That's all it really does matter in the end. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you see eye to eye or what your religion is or sexual preferences. It's helping people. And that's all that matters. And this lady kind of needed my help. So we went in there. My wife, JC, my pastor / paranormal investigator, medium, and my wife did the camera work and a lot of the staging. It came out great, guys. Check it out. I hope you guys see what we do and how we do things here in California. James does it the way he does it in Virginia. He's more of when James attacks things, he's right there like it's a real thing. Like he wants to get it out and over with, and he wants to get it done quick. And he's not scared of anything. I'm not scared of anything. I'd like to mess with these things, and people are, you're crazy. I am crazy to the point where I will go anywhere to do this stuff. I'm not stupid though, either. Oh, you won't go down. Why in the hell would anybody go by themselves? For one, you don't know, in some of these places, you don't know somebody's living there homeless, some weirdo that believes in something is hiding around there trying to kill people. You don't know somebody got out of jail hiding there. You don't the homeless, some druggie. You don't know what's going on. And that's what people forget. When you go to some of these big buildings and some of these places, you don't know who's there. You don't know what's there. Yeah, there could be demons or ghosts or entities or shadow people, but the problem is there also could be people there that not supposed to be there. Punk kids, Satanists trying to do some kind of witchery crap. And I'm not saying that I hate going there because I know how that's all coming, but there is people who do dumb stuff because they think they're going to get somewhere. Or there's homeless people who just having a place to stay. They get scared. They don't know who's there. Or you got somebody that's hiding out from the police. You never know. Or druggies doing drugs there. It happens, guys. I mean, there's it could be a wild animal. It could be bobcats here in California. You have mountain lions, rattlesnakes, Virginia bears. A lot of people don't realize there's more than just ghosts that you got to worry about in some of these places. Snakes, insects, all kinds of stuff. I don't care. I'll still do it. If they want me to go in blindfolded and Penhurst, I'll do it. I don't care. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but I'll do it. So this stuff doesn't bother me. And this one didn't either. Like, honestly, I did it for what I had to do to help the lady, but I let my preacher do it, got rid of it pretty much, and we dealt with it that way. Hopefully I don't have to go back there, because sometimes you do, because the only problem I have is she's an elderly lady who doesn't have a lot of people other than Keith and his mother come over. And I'm afraid she'll talk to them again. And that's what we've been telling her, to ignore these entities. Because once you start talking to them, you're bringing them back. If you want them there, you can never get rid of them. I don't care how this and God that, or which witchcraft this. I'm not saying it in a bad way. You're never going to get it out, because they want it there then. They're acknowledging it's there. They want it there. There's nothing you can do. And you're wasting your time. And that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not really worried about Keith. I'll probably get that. If I have to go over there, I'll do it myself. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I'll do the same thing I did over her house. that's not a bad, hard thing for me to do. I'll try to help him. I'm kind of wondering if he still has something that followed him before. I never gone to his house, so maybe something latched on to him now, and that's what I've kind of been worried about. And we'll see when we go. If I hear from him again, I'll go over there and get whatever is out of there. And now, if I hear any more from her, I'm gonna go again, but I'm not gonna keep going if she keeps talking to the thing, because again, when I'm done talking, James will explain that you can't keep asking the thing and talking to it like it's your friend, and that's what problem is. Some people get these things like they're friends with it or they're in love with it, and it happens, guys. So if that happens, there's nothing I can do. They have to get rid of that thing that's latched onto them, not us. And it's very hard to do that when somebody has it deep into them. It's pointless here. It's almost impossible, guys. And go look at some of the stories you see, horror movies and stuff like that about this. It's there's some people who like this stuff. There's some people who have relationships with this thing. It happens. They there's I don't know, there's some shows, I don't know if they're real. I remember they would have interviews with people, and like the one lady left her husband for a demon, and she loved it. She loved her husband till she fell in love with this demon, and she doesn't want it to go, and there's nothing you can do. You can't do nothing about it. There's some people who like the power. They're protected. They have something that's protecting them that's out of this world. I believe that they like to attack women for they work on their sensitivity more than anything. And men have it too. Don't get me wrong. They attack men. Trust me. That's a different way. Anger, hate. But with women, I think it makes them feel very comfortable at first. And then when they want to get away from it, they get very violent and the truth comes out. And that's why you'll have bad things happen. Like this lady, I think what happened is it was telling her to do things and she wasn't listening anymore, and they got mad. So it started lashing out on her and trying to kill her. And it might have done it. I don't even know if it probably done it to the lady before there. I don't know anything about it, so I don't want to talk about it. I just know the lady had passed away here. She claims it happened in their room. So it could have been, for all I know, the lady just died of old age because she was an elderly lady. So, or that something in that house took her out or helped take her out. Hopefully it didn't end like that, because that would suck, because I wasn't able to save the lady before that. But I helped this lady so she won't get attacked. The problem is, again, when you're an elderly lady by yourself, you get bored. TV's not good enough. She has her little hobby. She does painting, but it still gets lonely, guys. Anybody would be like that. And I hope Keith helps her out. He said he was going to go hang out with her a lot more. He's trying to get her to maybe move into a home, because she's a little older now, almost 80. She shouldn't really live by herself, especially in the high desert in California. In certain areas she lives isn't the best area in the world either. And I wouldn't want somebody to hurt her, like in real life, rob her, or somebody break in her house and do harm to her. So hopefully she can get where she needs to get and get out of the harm's way. So, and that's the best way I think would happen. When you get your set late 70s and 80s, it's really hard to live on your own, guys, especially if you don't have anybody there. If you're by yourself, it's very hard. Even if you had somebody coming over helping, even if you have family, becomes hard, because you're winding down in your years. And when you get in the late almost 80s, there's not much to do anymore. You don't really care about clothes or going anywhere anymore, and something on TV you want to watch, or it's not really a big deal anymore, because you've pretty much done everything you wanted to do, and you're just winding down, relaxing to whatever is coming your way. Not saying you could live to 90, 100 years old. You don't know. I'm just saying it's not always the best, though, to be by yourself and you have no family members up here. So anywhere. I would never want to do that to my grandmother or mother, so, or leave them alone. So I don't know their situation. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the whole story. That's none of my business, though. So I'm not going to get into that. That's not my business how people live their life. It's not my business to tell them how to do anything. Keith's there. He's his friend, her friend. He can tell her his opinion on whatever he wants to do. They're both nice people. I'm glad I was able to help them. James took it personally because James, again, it's an elderly 78-year-old woman who going to be 79 soon. And she can't really defend herself anymore. You can't really do anything anymore when she's wheelchair half the time, and she's a very nice lady, and it would be really sad if something happened and I wasn't able to help her. And that's why I had to help her, because she was begging and asking for my help. And so was Keith, because, he didn't know how to deal with this. He didn't ever believe in this stuff till this happened. He's my age, in his 40s, I think, late mid 40s. His mom was in her 60s, and they were helping her 50s, late 50s to 60s, I think his mom was. And they were trying to help her, and it started attacking them. So I have to help them too, and I saved them, and and I did my best of what I could do, or my team could do. And I hope it keeps that way, so we don't have to keep going back, and James has to get involved, and it becomes, this stuff doesn't just end in one time. I don't just go there and just throw a magical dust and, hey, it's gone, guys. Or a second time, oh, I had to say it. So people don't realize it just doesn't go away 1 or 2 sessions. It could take 10. It doesn't work that way. That's TV. That's TV and Hollywood, who's made it look like we're going to go in there. James is going to go hell Baron, kick the door down, yell a couple things to these demons, get out of here now, throw holy water, and there it's gone. It doesn't work like that. It's not that easy. You have to figure out why it's there. You need to figure out what it's doing there, which one it is, who it is, what it's about. If you get one of the ancient ones or the fallen ones, fallen ones is fallen angels. You can't just get them out like you think you can. It doesn't work that way. It's going to be very rarely that's going to happen. You get, who. That's a very hard one there, because you get the higher ones up. Yeah, you can get rid of them, but they'll come back. They can come back anytime they want. They're different than just regular demons. There's different classes. This is what people need to realize. Demons are the least things you have to worry about. You get one of the fallen, it's a very hard situation. It doesn't always work. You might have to even go higher than, and with somebody who has a lot of experience to get some of these things out, and that sometimes doesn't even work. They just have so much power, they don't care, and that's what happens sometimes. There's nothing you can do sometimes. There's bargains and stuff that have been made, and sometimes they're made to be. I think things happen for reasons. That's why it happens, like exorcisms and stuff, and then you'll see they'll die, or there's stuff that was meant that was going to happen like that to prove a point, to get a point across. And it doesn't matter how bad you save somebody, you try to, it doesn't work all the time. And that's why you have some of these cases, it still comes back. You're right, it's still going to keep coming back. If they get into a doll, it's not really like working with a human. It's different. They hide in these things for another reason. There's some that can take over bodies. I believe that. There's a couple movies people saw where these people could jump into other bodies, or demons can, and take over their body to become evil, and all this stuff that happens. I believe that to a point. I don't know if you can really do anything about that. Because they just keep jumping. That's why it's so hard. Some of these things are even more powerful than you think. Some things that we don't even know what they are. Everybody assumes they're just demons and are dark entities or vengeful spirits. You don't know if they're dimensional. If they're dimensional, we don't even know how to deal with them. And they're on another level of evil or bad, whatever you want to call it. We don't even know what we're dealing with. sometimes. We don't know if these things are really telling the truth, that this is what they are. They could be something else for all we know. We just do what we can and what we know how to do. You know, in reality, ghost hunting, helping people get stuff out like exorcisms and stuff like that's one thing, or getting something out of a house to help people. But honestly, some of these places we're kind of causing our own problems. These things are not bothering anybody, and people are going there to do ghost hunting, like at Cemetery, Penhurst, all these places. Who said you have a right to go do this anyway? I'm not saying I'm against any of it, but I mean, you think about it, it's not your concern to worry about what's going on there. They're not hurting anybody unless they go there because they're feeling like they're getting invaded. But if there's people working there and stuff, I understand to go help them. The problem I have is now there's $200 to go on a tour, $1,000 a tour. So now they're just using it as to make money. And I understand to fix the place up, but some people are making a profit. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that a lot of these people, but some places do it. Some people are doing it for the right reasons. Some people are not, to make money off of it. And that's the problem that we're having. Some of these things, we should just leave it alone. Yeah, we're going to go, there's ghosts there, but we're going into their territory, messing with them and their world. And then people, there's something to follow me back. Well, sometimes you shouldn't have been messing with it. When you invite the devil in to play, he might not want to leave. So remember that, guys. So here you go, James. You got any questions to ask? There you go, brother.
One thing people need to realize is what demons are. Now, I'm not talking about the specifics of what a demon is. I did a whole episode of Staring on that. It's called What Are Demons and Where Do They Come From? It's on the channel. Go check it out. You'll learn more about what demons actually are and how they operate than you'll probably learn anywhere else. But what I'm saying is demons are liars. You need to understand that. Because one thing Old Boy brought up earlier is some people are drawn to the darkness. Some people believe that they can make some sort of bargain or deal with a demonic entity and that they will gain protection, or that they will have some special place in the afterlife to where they will not have to suffer the way other people have to suffer. That is a lie. That is a bold-faced, plain-out lie told by demons. You may gain some temporary power in your lifetime, and you may gain some feeling of protection in your lifetime. But our human existence, our lifetimes, are but a blink of the eye to the eternal life that awaits us. And your destiny, your destination, your ultimate resting place is going to be the fires of hell. And then after the White Throne Judgment, you will spend eternity in the lake of fire, burning in torment and suffering for all eternity. You will not end up with some special place. You will not end up being a king of hell and having power. That's all BS. It's lies that these things tell people to get them to veer away from the only thing that will keep them out of that fire. And that thing is Jesus. And that's the truth of it. Now, unfortunately, you have way too many people in today's society that buy into that lie. And they are dooming themselves. And the problem is, and the sad thing is, that when you go on some of these cases and you try to help people, but they go right back to the same behaviors. Old Boy talked about ignoring these things, not talking to them, not communicating with them. That's important because when you do that, you're opening doorways. When we go in and we get one of these things out, essentially what we're doing is we're slamming the door shut and we're locking it so that that thing can't get back in. But when you communicate with that entity, that's the same thing as you walking over to that door, unlocking it, and opening it wide open again so the thing can walk right back in your house. I mean, that's literally what happens. And that's why you have to keep going back. Is because people continue to open those doors. Too many people don't have any kind of real understanding of what they're messing with. And that is one of the biggest dangers of the paranormal phenomenon craze becoming as popular as it is. Because you have a lot of people that go out there as weekend warriors and go to these investigations because they like to be scared, or they like to mess around with it because they saw somebody on a TV show do it and they think it's cool. But what they don't realize is when you go into a place without experience and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know how to properly cleanse, you don't know how to properly protect yourself, you don't know how to make sure that these things don't follow you when you leave, all you're doing is opening doorways wide open for these things to invade your life, invade your finances, your marriage, your health, every aspect of your life. And if you don't have the knowledge and the experience to deal with these things, then 100% of the time, you are going to become a demon's plaything. That's the truth of it. They will make you their bitch. And they will destroy your life. And they will ultimately kill you. There are a lot of different cases of people that are paranormal investigators who, well, they think they're paranormal investigators, and they don't have any real knowledge, no real skill set. They just watch some TV shows, so they go and they start messing around. They end up with attachments. They end up destroying their entire lives. They get obsessed with stuff, and it ends in like suicide or something. That has happened a lot. It's not a joke. These things are very, very dangerous. And if you're not prepared and you do not have the knowledge to try to deal with these things, you shouldn't. Like old boy said, leave them the hell alone. There's a reason that God said in the Bible that we're not supposed to communicate with the dead. We're not supposed to be doing these things. Now, there are some people that are called to do this kind of work. I believe I'm one of those people that's called to do this. I've always had this calling that I felt like I needed help people. I've put years and years and years of study into it to learn how to properly do this and to protect myself and how to help people. But the average ordinary person should not be messing with any of this stuff because it is insanely dangerous. And it's always going to end the same way. Even for experienced investigators, it doesn't end well. You're going to have problems. You're going to have attacks. You're going to have situations where things get way out of control. I mean, old boy mentioned that we just did that event down at St. Albans. And I gave a speech and everything like that. Well, during that event, in the investigation portion, Andy was doing an investigation with people that had paid to come in and donated to St. Albans. And when they all left the room, as Andy was leaving the room, something came up behind him and shoved him hard to the point where it knocked him forward and he almost fell flat on his face. Now, if you guys have watched any of the episodes of Tales and you know Andy, Andy's a big guy. You know, Andy's probably 3 bills at least, somewhere in that range. He's a big dude. And something that is capable of shoving him to the point where he's lurching forward and almost falling flat on his face, that's a lot of power. That's a lot of energy. You know, and this lady in this investigation that we're talking about tonight, in her interview, she said that these things assaulted her and shoved her and threw her against the wall and stuff. So, I mean, these things can manifest in physical ways and do physical attacks on you and hurt you. She also talked about in her interview how in the beginning, this thing would portray itself as her husband and would come to her as the spirit of her husband. And that's how it lured her in to talk to it and to have that relationship, that line of communication with it, because she thought she was speaking with the spirit of her husband. And we've had cases like that as well, where people think that it's their dead relatives that they're talking to. But in reality, it's not. It's a demon or some other malevolent or evil entity that is using that as a way to get in. So then you think that it's your dead relative you're talking to, and you start opening up that line of communication and talking to it. Well, that just opens the doorway up and allows that thing to march right into your life. And then it will attach to you, and it will start wreaking havoc in all aspects of your life. It'll start messing with your mind. It'll make you sick, like physically sick. And I'm not talking about sick on your stomach. I'm talking about diseases. I'm talking about losing your sight. I'm talking about having accidents where you fall and hurt yourself or get in a car wreck. All those kind of things happen. It will destroy your finances. It will start messing with your mind to where you think you're going crazy. It can make you severely depressed to the point where you commit suicide. And this is well documented in case after case after case after case. Some that we've been involved with, some that others have done. But this is real stuff. And it is not business that should be attempted by people who do not have the proper training. Now, I know when I say all this that there are going to be some that listen who don't care. They're going to do it anyway. Because they're going to think, oh, that's no big deal. I don't believe in that crap. There are skeptics. But like I've said before, every skeptic eventually becomes a believer. Every atheist eventually becomes a believer. It might not be till after you're dead, but I guarantee you, a second after you die, when you're sitting there in hell burning, you're going to be like, uh-oh, I was wrong. But at that point, it's too late. When people get involved with stuff that they don't know what it's capable of and they don't understand, it's a recipe for disaster. Now, we've said many, many times, Andy said, Old Boy said, I have said, that there are no true experts in the paranormal field. You have people that are well seasoned, that have a lot of experience, that know what they're talking about, but none of us are complete experts. And that is because there's so much that's unknown. These things were around in the beginning. I mean, people think they're going to go in and overpower a demon or outsmart a demon. You're crazy. Because these things were around when man was formed. They have thousands of years of experience. They know human psychology and they know human behavior better than we do. So if you're going in there all half-cocked and you don't know what you're doing, trust me, they're 20 steps ahead of you. They know what you're going to do before you even do it. The only chance that you have against something like this is God. When I go into a place and I get rid of one of these things, it's not me that's getting rid of it. That's so important, and I really want people to hear that and to understand it. I'm not a damn superhero. I don't go in there like Rambo and kick a demon's ass. I go in there, but it's the power of God that gets these things out. Every knee must bow to Jesus. That's the truth of it. And I've had demons actually admit that and agree with that. I've done, and it's on the channel. You can watch the videos on the YouTube channel where I've had communications on Phasmabox and different forms of communication with demonic entities that have said that I have said every knee must bow to Jesus, and they have agreed that that is true. That is the power that stops these things. That is the power that clears that house, that saves people. Not my power. Under my own power, without Jesus, without God on my side, I'm going to end up a bloody mess on that floor. 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. It is only through Christ that we can get rid of these things. And we don't really get rid of them. They're still around. It's not like we can kill them. They just move on to someone else. You can get them out of a house. You can get them out of somebody's life. But they move on. And they are still out there somewhere, hurting somebody else. And if the person that you helped doesn't do what they need to do and make sure they're very vigilant not to open those doors again, then those things will come back. And they'll be stronger and worse. And it's way harder to get them back out. That's what people don't realize. And when you're going out there playing paranormal investigator and going out there and doing all these investigations, you are kicking open doors that don't need to be kicked open, and you're letting these things into your life. And you can be all wrapped up in your ego and think, well, I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's cool. You know what you're doing. That's fine. But when these things start destroying your life, when you end up in a mental institution because you've become absolutely obsessed with the location and all you think about is going and investigating, and you lose your wife, you lose your house, you lose your kids, all that stuff happens. And you're sitting there in a straitjacket rocking back and forth. Then you can tell me how you know what you're doing. It's dangerous. That's what I'm saying. And that message there that I just said is not for everybody. Because, like I said before, there are some of us that are called to do this, that have put in the time to study and learn what we're doing so that we can be relatively safe. And when I say relatively safe, that's an important distinction, because it's not safe for any of us. Understand that. You are messing with stuff that is infinitely more powerful than you are. And it's only through God and prayer and fasting and living a certain way and doing the best you can to be as prepared as possible and as mentally strong as possible when you go in, that you even have a chance of getting back out without catastrophic consequences. And another thing that people never talk about, but I'm going to talk about right now because it needs to be said, is once you're involved in this, and I don't mean as a somebody that's just tinkering with it on the weekend. I mean once you have devoted yourself to going in and taking on cases and going against demonic entities and stuff like that, once you have started that, you're in it. There's no just walking away at that point. Because what happens is these things follow you and they will destroy you. They will pester you and torment you for your entire lifetime. So once you make that decision that this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to get in, I'm going to go full tilt, I'm going to do this and I'm going to help people, be prepared that you've got to be in it for the long haul, and it probably ain't going to end too good for you. So what I always say, and I 100% believe this to be true, the only way you should be doing this kind of work is if you truly feel in your heart that God has called you to do it. Because that's the only way you have a chance of making it out the other end of it. It ends badly. for so many. And that may not be a comfortable thing to say. People may not like that. But as I've said countless times on this show, I am going to tell you the truth. Even if you don't like it, I'm going to tell you the truth. Because I love you enough to tell you the truth. So don't believe the lies of the demons. Don't let them make you think that it's cool or it's a good thing to make deals with them or bargain with them. Don't let them manipulate and brainwash you to the point to where you throw your entire eternity away. To where you're going to spend eternity burning in hell for some perceived power that you're going to receive in life. Because I'm telling you right now, that's a terrible bargain. You are definitely getting the raw end of that deal. At the most, if you are absolutely blessed and lucky that you get to live to be 80, 90 years old, right? Even if you live that long, and let's say you make the deal when you're 20, you're talking 60 or 70 years of pleasure and power, so to speak, that you think you got. What is that when it's stacked up against eternity burning in hell? And I'm not saying that to scare you. That's just the truth of it. And whether you want to believe it or not, at some point, you will realize that I'm telling you the truth. I just pray that when that point comes, it's not too late for you. Because I don't want to see not a single one of you lost. I don't want to see not a single one of you end up that way because I love you. So with that being said, I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy so he can give his final shout outs and then we will wrap up.
Thank you guys. I want to thank you guys on Parax Radio every Sunday nights and technically Monday mornings on the East Coast and Tuesday for the Best Of show. Thank you for listening to us, guys, and we appreciate it. You guys want to follow us on YouTube to listen to our new and old shows, go ahead and subscribe. He'll tell you where to go. You want some merchandise, shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. So he'll let you know where we go in a minute. Also, my new book is out, and this is fiction. Not like the last one was nonfiction about religion and stuff. This is actually a part of the Hershey universe. Demon Wars, Volume 1, The Empty Chair. And I hope you guys check it out. It's a series we're going to start doing. Hershey's going to be doing the second part of it. And hopefully I can do the third and we can keep going on from there. That's what the plan is. But the first volume is out, guys. If you like demons, you like James's books, it's up your alley there, guys. And there's gore, violence, and a twisted love story. So check it out. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Apple Books. Can't get it on Amazon yet because I'm still waiting for them to publish it. So that's another thing. But you can get it at 12 different other places right now. So check it out whenever you can. You can get it on ebook or regular paperback. So I hope you guys have a good night. Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Hunters, and Demon Lovers, I love you, and blessed be, and have a great night.
I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us again tonight. I'd like to thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope that you found some value in it and learned from it. This one I wanted to do because this case was pretty fascinating. And what we were able to capture on camera for this episode was pretty awesome. You know, to be able to see the actual process of doing spiritual warfare with these things and trying to get them out is something that hasn't been done a whole lot on TV. It's not something that is normally shown. In all reality, that's because there aren't that many people that are actually doing it. You know, you have a few teams out there that are doing the real work and helping people and trying to get stuff out. And then you have a whole lot of people that are just kind of communicating and doing research and learning more about the field, which is very valuable too. Don't get me wrong. But there's not a lot of people that are going into these situations where the really, really bad and dangerous stuff is happening. Luckily, it's something that you don't see a whole lot of, to where you have something that's so bad that people are being physically harmed and physically shoved around and beaten and stuff. That usually isn't the case. But it does happen, and that's what we wanted to show you. We wanted to bring that to you guys so you could actually see what goes on. You know, that's basically what Tales is. Tales is us documenting actual investigations that we do, where we're going and we are helping people and helping families and doing spiritual warfare with these things, and actually show that process so people can see it. There's also some episodes of Tales where we're doing research stuff, where we're just communicating and learning more about the other world and all that kind of stuff. That's interesting as well. So I hope that you guys check that out. Like I said, thank you for all of your love and all of your support. I love you, and I will catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.